Welcome to the 39th reading of my memoir, The Innocence of Guilt. A boy comes into my life. As fascinating as the stories of the past were, supplying me with a dose of closeness to my mother seldom experienced, when I turned 15 on Halloween of 1957, I faced the reality of the pressing demands of my future. It took possession of me and hauled me unwilling into its drama. The school told my parents there wasn't much point in me staying on. I wasn't doing well in anything but English. What use were fanciful stories and poems in the workaday world? Mum and Dad knew I had no particular goals in mind, career-wise, but they didn't know my terror of leaving school, the only place I'd sent structure. Despite the bullying and competition to survive on a daily basis, Wilson Marriage School had been my distorted security for the past 3 years. I didn't know how I would survive without it. I convinced them to let me stay on for another few months, until summer rolled around, a way to put off the inevitable. 15 was the school-leaving age for anybody not taking O-levels, so only a few of the 45 pupils in Class 4B had left, those with jobs lined up and who were ready to leave school. 2 boys had proudly gone into a cadet corps of the Army, but the majority would carry on into the following year. The school wasn't too pleased, and I overheard a couple of teachers discussing me. One said to the other, "Quite frankly, I don't know why she's still here." I tried not to let it bother me, but I knew I was only treading water at school. Before long, everybody in my class would decide on which stroke to use, and they'd swim away. I would have no choice but to do the same, except that I didn't know how to swim, metaphorically or otherwise. Mum rejoined the co-op. She said I could have a new winter coat since I wasn't leaving school and couldn't afford such a costly item myself with my pocket money. I fell for a fitted turquoise coat with a Peter Pan collar made of simulated fur. Mum thought it highly unsuitable for school, but I wouldn't look at anything else in the shop. Despite her protests, I slipped it on and loved what I saw in the mirror. I wanted it, and what could she do but give in to me? If she didn't, she faced hearing me going on and on about it for days and days. What she received instead was my beaming face as I proudly wore the coat all the way home. Din Din had given her the money for it. For the last 2 years, I had held on to the hope of finding a boyfriend at school. Now, with my new turquoise coat, I believed the odds definitely stacked in my favour. Little did I know that the coat would serve to bring attention to me much closer to home. The momentous meeting happened on November 5th, bonfire night, when I walked to the Lower Castle Park with my brother to watch the fireworks. A gentle rain had fallen all day, but hadn't prevented the festivities. As the fireworks lit up the night sky, my mind wandered off to the little Russian dog, Laika, strapped into the Sputnik 2 satellite, travelling around Earth. Newspapers had published photographs of her peeking out of her tiny compartment before being launched into space, destined to die out there. Animal lovers everywhere were outraged and implored people to observe a minute's silence every day for the 10 days she was forced to circle our planet. I'd spotted Sputnik 2 as a tiny, faraway moving light, and it saddened me to think of her up there, all alone. The traditional bonfire still bravely burned on the field through the rain as we hung around by the river, watched a few boys let off their bangers. They pulled stupid pranks, lighting the end papers, stuffing them into their pockets, only removing them when they thought the bangers were about to explode. Occasionally they threw one our way, causing us to jump quickly to one side, to avoid being hurt. I noticed a boy who had commented on the stupidity of the banger throwers watching me intently. He came over to where David and I stood and asked me if I wanted to go to his house and set off some fireworks in his alley. I said I would if my brother could also come, so the three of us walked to his house, not too far from ours. I could hardly believe my good fortune and put it all down to the turquoise coat. He set up a firework display and entertained us. Thrilled that a boy showed interest in me, I agreed to see him again. Patrick, 2 years older than me, worked in a furniture factory near the castle park, and when I told him I still attended school, he didn't seem to mind. When Mum met him, she fawned all over him and suggested he help me with my maths homework, but she needn't have bothered. I'd given up, and so had the school. A few days later, I didn't have to attend maths classes anymore. My teacher sent me to the library and told me to keep out of the way of the class in there at the time. Content to sit in the corner and read the books of my choice, but embarrassed when a few girls questioned why I was there. I wasn't sure what to say. That I was kicked out of maths class because, unlike my peers, I was too stupid to grasp the subject. I shrugged my shoulders and stayed silent. Of course, I knew what they thought of me. A strange girl, an oddity. I'd never be anything else. Patrick and I went on long bike rides with my brother, or hung around my house. We weren't dating. He wasn't the romantic interest I longed for. I preferred dark-haired, brown-eyed boys, and Patrick's light brown hair and blue eyes didn't exactly light up my world and hold me in their radiance. When he said he didn't wish to see me anymore, I wasn't upset. As we said goodbye, though, I made him promise something. "Will you still be my friend?" I ventured. "I suppose so," he said, a little surprised, no doubt because I hadn't lived up to his expectations as a proper girlfriend, and boys his age didn't have girls as mates. But I needed to know that I hadn't lost him completely. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to subscribe, like, or comment on this reading, and hopefully you will tune in to the next one. Bye for now.